Tech Tuesday.
Ooh, it's 1414. Don't know if that means anything, but you know people who go 1111, there's luck coming. Make a wish now. There's luck coming your way. That is the time, and we are straight into our third hour of the show, and we talk about all things tech in this hour. So the rise of personal AI assistants beyond Siri and beyond Alexa is our topic of conversation today. Personal AI is transforming into something much bigger. Autonomous, highly personalized digital companions can manage our emails, suggest purchases, and optimize our schedules. I'll tell you, human-centered AI advocate Johan Steyn is our guest today. Hi, Johan. How are you doing?
Pabi, great. Thanks. Good to be with you again.
I want to tell you that just today, there's a process in how my business works, right? That I find to be so tedious. And I don't know, I mean, how long have we been talking about AI, Johan? Just today, it occurred to me there must be an AI tool that can remove just this aspect, because it's not necessary really for me to be doing this myself. And so it's so great to be able to hang out with you and learn about tools like Rabbit, R1, Humane AI Pin, ChatGPT, Meta AI, voice assistants, and all of the different things that we can use in our business and in our lives to make them all a little bit easier. So let's start by saying, how would you define the difference between the early generations of personal AI assistants to what personal AI tools emerging in 2025 look like?
Bobby, thank you. The earlier versions at the time was amazing. I mean, Siri on my iPhone, and you mentioned Alexa, even your Google Home device. You could ask them questions, and they would reply fairly accurately, but they were, I call them dumb devices. They looked at whatever they could find on the internet and answer your questions. They didn't anticipate what you needed. They didn't understand the context of what you were saying. They couldn't predict what you were looking for. Because remember, as humans, especially when we have a challenge or a problem, think of you calling your internet service provider, your mobile phone provider. You don't know what the problem is. You express the symptom. Like, my internet is down. Does that mean it's the router, it's the local PABX or whatever it is, or is there power outage on one of the towers? But these days, the technology, and a big theme this year, Pabi, is what they call agentic AI agents. And the exciting thing is that we, as call it normal humans, even if you're not a techie or a tech expert, we have the ability to create AI agents that can help us and automate things. So the difference from those called dumb services or platforms now is that it anticipates, it learns from your data, it actually really answers the questions that you're asking it. But, and this is where agentic AI comes in, it not only provides information, it can actually do tasks based on what you're asking it. And we can unpack that a bit. It's very exciting, a little bit scary as well, but quite exciting.
I mean, I think we should absolutely explore that a little bit more. It's very interesting that I don't think of Siri or Alexa as personal AI. I don't know why. Could you try and put that together for me? Why would I not? Because I mean, that's exactly what we're doing when we type into our ChatGPT.
Not even ChatGPT. I think for me, Siri and Alexa, especially historically, was like just a voice Google search.
Okay, maybe that's why.
Yeah, and I often say, when you Google something, although Google is better, the last few months when you Google something, you get a little summary at the top that gives you the answers. But Google would, or other search platforms as well, would not give you the answers. It would give you homework. Here are the top 5 links that probably contains what you're looking for, very accurately. I still had to click on every link and so forth. So, for instance, I've got a Google Home device, and I would often ask it, what is the weather like in Johannesburg tomorrow? And it would just ramble off whatever it can get from the internet. It does not know what I asked it yesterday. It cannot anticipate what I'm going to ask it tomorrow. It often does not recognize my accent. So I think our experience, and you've said it rightly, Pabi, is that it's kind of, it's not super duper AI, But we're already there. We're just not using the right tools.
Okay.
But the stuff that's out there already that you and I can use, most of it freely, is mind-blowing, especially for business users.
Right, right. Okay, so let's jump straight into it. I mean, it seems like an hour is never enough. Let's talk about the major technologies that have not only driven this shift, but gotten us to the point where it's so exciting for how it can change our businesses.
The large language models, we've spoken about that. People know about that. If you use ChatGPT or Gemini or all of these tools, it's a large language model. It's still not super, super smart. It makes mistakes, but it does understand your intent. What is also very exciting, it understands different languages. And I have tested it with a lot of my friends, and it's Zulu, it's Xhosa, obviously in Afrikaans, which is my native language. It is incredibly smart in understanding African languages, which a few years ago it did not at all. So, but not only does it understand the language in which you ask it, it understands the intent. What are you actually saying? Because we say things without knowing how to really explain it. And based on your usage and your behavior with that platform, if you use it a lot, it gets smarter and smarter to know what exactly you say using certain keywords that maybe other people can also don't use. The other one is what we call edge computing or Internet of Things. And this is where sensors will send us data. Now, if you have a smartwatch, which a lot of us have, even our mobile phones, our smartphones are edge computing devices. But some people in their homes or businesses have, energy sensors, temperature sensors and the like. So imagine I can ask my personal AI assistant, what is the temperature in my house like right now? Because maybe I'm in Cape Town and not Joburg. Make sure that it is optimally set at 21 degrees. By the way, has it been raining? Do we need to water the garden? Could you please click off the watering of the garden? What is the level like in the swimming pool? Are there people in my home at the moment? What is the average temperature from a body temperature point of view? What is my son doing? Switch on the camera that I can see. It's a little bit scary as well, but for a parent, it's a godsend. So large language models, we also talk about reinforcement learning, which is kind of an AI, this edge computing. And the other thing, Pabi, which is very exciting, is what we call multimodal AI, which means it can now interpret voice, text, images, and all kinds of other input that you give it. So look at the picture in my garden at the moment. What do you see? Is it green? Is it going brown? Do we need to switch on the watering again, etc.? That is exciting. And even though it's exciting, Pabi, it's not even scratching the surface of where we will be in 3 or 5 years from now, I think.
And I love that you say 3 or 5 years, because this is happening so rapidly. The fact that, we've got it on our WhatsApp, the fact that that Google's even caught up. Google was like, we're not good enough. We're going to add some of this AI. And so it is absolutely everywhere. And I wonder what, if we are still to remain humane, how does hyper-personalization work, right? In terms of personal data in today's AI assistants, where are they learning this from? How are they collecting data and information to create the answers and the things that we need it to respond with?
Yeah. Look, so most of us, when we sign up for a new service on our phones, we don't read the 45 pages of terms and conditions. We just click OK. We don't even know what we're saying yes to. And I always say any service that's free, whether it's Google Maps or Gmail or the plethora of other things we use, it's never free. You pay with your data. Now, there are luckily more and more regulations around it about how companies can use your data, especially biases in the data. I might be the wrong gender, the wrong ethnicity, so that'll impact how the AI interprets it. But hyper-personalization offers great benefits to us as consumers, and more companies are switching on to it. I always use Netflix as an example. Netflix learns from my behavior. It knows in the mornings I watch action movies, quote unquote, working from home. In the evenings, I might watch romantic comedies. It also knows that I click on a landing card or an image of a movie that's red rather than blue, one that's top right rather than bottom left. That's human behavioral science, and it can anticipate in real time what I'm trying to do. Mobile phone providers are busy doing it more and more. Our banks are also doing it more and more. In other words, it's giving me a service that is specific to my behavior, how I've used the platform. Now, we all know chatbots. I mean, how often have we not been tearing our hair out with chatbots? It just doesn't understand what we're saying. I had a very pleasant experience with my mobile provider recently where there was one line item on my bill that seemed wrong. I didn't feel like speaking to a call center agent. I went to the chatbot. They always have freaky names: Phoebe, Bleebly, Subi, Blably.
Yes, they all have weird names. Yes, yeah.
Now, normally I'm very, very negative because they suck, most of these chatbots. They're really bad. But this interaction was so positive because the chatbot, obviously I logged on with my details. It knew exactly who I was. It had access to all of my data. I said to it, now remember, I express, and this is where intent comes in, and seeing context, because in my own silly way, I tried to explain to this bot what the problem was. And this is where it previously struggled. Unless you gave very specific words and terminology it didn't know. Now, with large language models, it can pick up your intent. I mentioned there's this line item. It said, hang on a second. It took about 5 seconds. It came back and it said, yes, that billing item is incorrect. Do you want me to refund you now or just debit you for your next bill? I said, debit me for the next bill. It took another 5 seconds and it said, done. I immediately got an SMS and an email saying it's fixed, and on the next bill it was fixed. I was so excited because most of my experiences with this technology is like it's really stupid. But companies are getting there. But just to kind of conclude what you've been asking is, because what of my data are you using? And there's some of my behavior on my mobile phone, on my internet browsing that I might not want you to know. It's very personal. And this is where legislation comes in. I don't know how enforceable it is. I think ultimately we as individuals, as consumers, and as parents in particular, we need to be smart with how we use it. We need to be smart with how we teach our children to use it. When the AI thingy asks you for your address, and you know there's no reason why I should know that. What's your partner's name or where do you live? You should have the wisdom and the common sense to say no. We as parents, not the government, not our schools, we need to teach our children to use this correctly and responsibly.
We're talking about human-centered AI the rise of personal AI assistants beyond Siri and Alexa. And we're speaking to human-centered AI advocate Johan Steyn. And that big exhale is because of the absolute power all of this has, and then the absolute next curriculum that we're going to have to write, that we're all going to have to know, so that we can, teach our children as well, right? You don't just sign on for everything. You don't just say yes, so that you can get to the game. You've got to really think about what all of these things mean. Let me open the lines on 0861 987 000. I want to know your setup, because I know that there are techie people who, your car is not even a car, it's a computer. So the minute you walk in, you tell it what to do to connect to your phone. Siri, read my messages, and then Siri will read your messages, and then you respond, you don't respond. I want to know if you're one of those people, and how, creating AI in your life has helped your business, has helped your productivity, and what advice you have for those who might be a little bit wary right now, or simply just haven't thought about it, and you have, and it's really working in your space. So give us a call on 0861 987 000, and you can also send us a voice note on 083 303 7093. So let's talk about at what point personalization crosses the line into surveillance and even manipulation. And I'm asking that a little bit tongue-in-cheek because we've covered it in the previous question, but there's also a current conversation that's saying, don't say please, don't say thank you. It just takes up too much energy. So when does it's still computing. It's still external to us.
Yeah, look, Barbie, I wish we had 5 hours for this and whiskey. So hyper-personalization should give our service providers the ability to really hit the nail on the head with what we need, how to solve our problems very quickly. And many of them are getting there. But now the temptation is to use the data and our behavior to manipulate us. Now think of a retail store. I often use this example. Retail stores are very specifically designed, and it's been so for many years. The aisles you walk through, those impulsive buys, when you stand at the till and suddenly there's chocolates and all kind of stuff, and your children are tugging your arm, I want this sweetie and that sweetie.
Yeah.
That's it designed that way. I mean, the Coca-Cola stock is at a very specific place. A lot of people go to buy Coke. The nappies and children's stuff is at a very specific place, and the route you walk to get there is absolutely designed so that you buy more than you planned. And that's sales.
Okay,
we understand it.
Yeah.
Even the music in stores, coffee shops included, even the smell, the kind of flavor that's out there will initiate a certain behavior. Fast food restaurants have very loud music because you eat quick and you go. More expensive restaurants have more chilled out music, so you can stay longer and probably spend more in any case because it's a date or a engagement party or whatever. But now we can do it digitally. So what if the AI, and it happens, I know from the keywords you use, from your behavior, from the data I have on you, that I can actually manipulate you to say yes to products and services that you probably would not have wanted to buy. Now, where this comes in, which is quite scary, is, and I was at a big banking event as a speaker a few months back. And
hang on, Johan, I'm going to have to interrupt you there. So we're leaving this on a cliffhanger, which is still such a human thing to do. And so we talk about artificial intelligence with Johan Steyn after this. It's 2:30.
Live on channel 889 on DSTV Audio Bouquet. Power 98.7. Now we're talking.
Indeed we are, and we're talking in our Tech Tuesday segment here on Power Lunch this afternoon about the rise of personal AI assistants. On the line we have human-centered AI advocate Johan Steyn, who's been guiding us through this conversation from where we started with AI and some of the gripes that we had, that now many other AI innovations have now helped us to really move through our businesses and personal lives a lot better. Philiso, I'm going to get to you in literally 1 second because yours is the answer that I really want to hear. But Johan, before we went to the headlines, you were talking about hyper-personalization. You were speaking at a bank, and I'd like to hear you finish that story.
Sure, the cliffhanger. So it was a banking conference, but the topic was romance scams, digital romance scams.
Yes.
Now, I mean, many of us have seen the Netflix series on what was it called? The Tinder Swindler.
Oh, yes.
That wasn't digital. It was just a guy that was very smart and bad.
Yeah.
But how we can use data that we see on Facebook freely, because most people's platforms and profiles are open, to actually contact you with a message that's going to really hit the nail on the head, that makes that person feel loved, and this is an amazing person. It's normally a person overseas, and then they shortly start asking for help and money, and then it builds up and it builds up. And there was a story in our press a few months back about somebody who lost 6 million rand. I wish I had that money to lose. I don't, but to one of these people. So the point I'm making is how we can manipulate through data, whether it's romance scams, financial manipulation or others. So we need to be very careful, whether it is a WhatsApp or a voice call that sounds just like your child, just like your boss, an email that seems the same mannerisms. We have to be very, very, very careful, Pabi. And that's where education and learning comes in, to make sure that we know what to watch out for. If it is too good to be true, it probably is. Whatever message you get. I'm going to pause there for now.
Okay, perfect. And I think that's a thing we need to continuously tell, and also then go tell others. And I always, after these conversations, say, now that you know and now that we know and we're being reminded, please go tell your parents. Please go tell your grandparents, because they're the ones who then get the calls and they're not sure what to do. Piliswa, hello.
Hi, Pabi. How are you?
Very well. Thank you. I've got Johan here with me, and we're talking about AI. And I posed the question, Piliswa, about how AI and using it has helped your business or your personal life. And I believe your business has really benefited from this.
Well, I'm still at the beginning stages.
No problem.
So I've always been somebody who wanted to teach, and I knew there was something limiting about ending up in an institution where I am a lecturer. So for a long time, I refused to apply for a job, and I was like, I'm going to teach online. And this was mainly based on, watching all these YouTube videos and seeing how people are actually reaching diverse audiences, including myself. And I started creating digital products at that point in time, not knowing about AI. And I started speaking to some of the professors I knew, even at universities, like, why don't we put things together? We put your knowledge, we bring our knowledge together,
yes,
and create this digital product. But I could see they were reluctant, and so I did it on my own. And I went into Twitter one day, and there was this long thread about AI and ChatGPT. And then I went into ChatGPT. I asked the same questions that people are asking for sometimes in the comments, but nobody is answering on YouTube. And I saw that we are coming from different spaces around the globe, and we're asking the same questions, struggling with the same information that should be readily available, to students more especially, but we are reluctant on sharing it because it's always try and error. You have to experience it in order to know. So I actually used ChatGPT to edit my documents because I didn't have confidence at the time. I'm a second language English speaker. So I was like, it's always that thing of, there's mistakes in what you're writing because English is not your first language. And so I used AI to edit my documents. I created this PDF document. So I've been building my website. And to tell you right now, I've also did scripts for my social media page. And even that was a struggle because of confidence and all of that. But using AI, I was able to put myself out there. And today I just came from a class where I'm teaching about social media strategies and planning to university students and making this knowledge available on both ends. And this was, and I really commend, because I was at the University of Pretoria, if I can mention it. And I commend them because I kind of feel like it's the first university that is taking the initiative to actually equip students. And these students actually are not participating. And I think they are the future of everything that we're experiencing now.
What do you mean they're not participating?
Right now I'm looking at their social media feed, and they're not even sharing what they're doing in the class because I'm in the art industry. So I mean, when you're making a painting, all you do is document your process and play this music in the background or just speak about what you're making. So they're not doing the bare minimum, and it all stems from some of the things we've been taught in the past about what you put out, who's going to think, which person is going to think you're professional enough or not professional if you're doing a vlog.
Sure.
And I am making vlogs and putting myself out there, and I have my friends commenting on it. Like it looks stupid at this point in time, and I'm like, I don't care, because we're in this age where we need to share ourselves and not only the finished product. If a client wants to work,
yes. So there we go. And it feels as if AI not only has assisted your business, but it's built your business. It's given you different avenues to do business and to teach.
Yeah,
that's beautiful. Thank you very much for the call there. Johan, your thoughts on what Piliswa had to say?
Oh, I love that. Look, firstly, working at a university, most universities are extremely careful with AI, generative AI, large language models, slow adopters because of the risk of cheating and plagiarism.
Okay.
But it's the elephant in the room with our students we cannot avoid. They are going to use these models. Whether it is on their university computer, where it's blocked probably, or at home with their own laptop or their parents' computer. So there's a big challenge for universities at the moment. How do you examinate? How do we make sure our students understand what we've been teaching? Do we go back to oral examinations? Come and explain your views to me rather than ChatGPTing it, Now, the logistics there is challenging, but what I like, what your caller just said, is that whether you're a big business owner or running a smaller business or just in your private life, there are so many tools to automate things, bring in efficiencies, handling tasks, scheduling meetings. Those things that really take up a lot of our time. I often say when we do work from a corporate point of view, most of what we do is we attend meetings, 80% of which are just nonsense. We do a hell of a lot of emails every day. And the rest of the time, we are looking for information on our systems, HR policies, legal policies, and the like. But it robs us from our experience, our intuition, our education, and who we are as people who can help people. If those things, scheduling meetings, follow up on meetings, looking for information, if that can be automated so I can spend more time looking a colleague or a client in the eye and helping him or her, that's the benefit of AI if we do it right. So I think she's on the right trajectory, and it's very encouraging. And I wanted to say to her, go big, girl. Yeah. AI, everything you can, because it really will be able to help you in amazing ways.
I love that so much. And I wonder what your thought is on calling out youngsters who maybe have the knowledge but aren't necessarily sharing it on their social media or creating another platform to go, hey guys, I also do this, and this is how I got to this level using AI, and this is the tool that I used for that kind of thing. We live in a free country, and just the other day was Freedom Day. Everyone is free to do whatever they want on social media. But how important do you think that is that we get to that point?
Pabi, it's so important. Look, firstly, it's human nature. We are selfish. If I can do something better than you can, and it can get me more in my job and hopefully be promoted before you are going to be promoted, of course I'm going to keep it secret. It's just human nature. Okay. But I even find this problem in big corporates, and I'm helping a few corporates with what I call prompting libraries. If you use, and here we Microsoft Copilot, which is an amazing tool to use in the context of what we're talking about, but if you find a certain prompt helps you to summarize a legal contract or a customer query, share that, because otherwise your colleagues are going to trying to reinvent the wheel. There should be a knowledge base. So I think the principle here is when we find better ways of doing things with these amazing tools, we should share it, whether it's in a corporate formally or on social media or with our friends. AI belongs to all of us. We cannot keep it close to the heart. Nobody else will be better than us, because we are never that good. We are only as good as we are as a collective. Ubuntu AI, I tell you.
Yes.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so Piliso was talking about the specific ways she's helped to overcome her second language, English speaking, using AI. I just mentioned, there's an aspect in my business that I think AI there must be a tool. There must be, and Johan, if I don't find it myself, I'm coming to you to find it for me, that can take care of one aspect of what I need to do. But let's talk a little bit about predictive AI, some of the things that we can use in our businesses that will maybe anticipate our needs, or that perhaps we can program, for lack of a better term, in order to do what we need to do, that will just free up time for other pursuits.
Yes. Look, a lot of people I deal with, clients in particular, are still confused between automation and artificial intelligence.
Okay.
Now, automation is very valuable. That is processing invoices automatically, purchase orders, your typical back office business kind of tasks. That's been around for many years, actually. But automation is not smart, it does not self-learn, and it does not predict the future.
Okay.
Where AI platforms keep on learning, if you set it up correctly, and the big difference is it predicts the future. I often, Pabi, just briefly, I use this example of a coffee machine.
Mm-hmm.
The coffee machine is an automation device. You press cappuccino or you press whatever you want, and it gives it to you. It does not anticipate, it does not personalize, it does not predict the future. But what if the coffee machine knows that when Johan walks in at 9 in the morning, he typically, historically, orders a cappuccino rather than just a normal coffee? But also, what if it can self-procure? It knows that the milk is running low, put in out a purchase order. And also, what if it can predict my taste? What if there's a kind of coffee that I would love based on my historical data, and it can experiment with me? So prediction is a very big part of AI. Predicting customer needs, predicting potential risks in our business, predicting churn with our customers. It is highly accurate if we train it correctly and use the right data. AI can see patterns in data and future trends that we cannot see. Imagine as a delivery company or a supply chain company, you use Google Weather, Google Maps. You look at the state of your trucks, the brakes, when it needs a service, what kind of customers and what geographical area are ordering what, and so forth. All of that data is thrown together in a model that can predict, because maybe we should send the shipment at 9 tomorrow because of the weather and not at 10.
Yes.
That technology exists. Predicting when you need to phone a customer, automatic follow-ups, automatic scheduling. The potential is amazing. It's the art of the possible. And Pabi, just to conclude, I often tell my clients, I can probably do more than you imagine it could. So just imagine you could in order to. What are those things that if you can automate this, it would make a massive impact on your business? And let's start there with your AI strategy. The potential is incredible. I think most people don't even know what this technology can do. Apart from the risk stuff, that's very important.
Of course, of
the
course.
Things it can already do, even if you're a small business owner. I mean, even if you're a spaza shop owner.
Yes.
And you have a mobile app that will auto-procure products based on the run rate of what people are buying when it's seasonally, geographically based, etc. That exists. Imagine how it can revolutionize their business, Pabi.
I mean, I think that's really quite rubber stamped by what Piliswa had to say, because Piliswa said she went and she just found some information, and yes, she was involved in the university, but this isn't something that I have to go sit and do a 3-year degree. In fact, that might be wasting my time because technology is just innovating so fast, Johan.
Yeah, look, you don't want to get me going on education. And that's a whole other conversation. Look, I'm not anti-education.
Of course.
I'm not anti-learning in particular. But I think what many of the people I know, including myself, never learned is how to self-educate, how to self-learn, to not just follow a book or a curriculum like, a puppet. And we live in a world where you will never stop learning. We don't live in a world anymore where you're going to do a diploma or a degree, and for the next 40 years, that's going to be your job.
Yeah.
You will probably be in different kind of jobs, constantly learning, constantly reading. I think the problem most people have is where to find the information they need. And that's a skill. It's a prompting skill. It's an articulation skill with an AI system. So education is highly important. It's incredibly important. But I think our traditional, especially tertiary educational way of teaching people globally will probably not exist in 10 years from now. So that asks the question about our children. My 11-year-old, what kind of education does he need? I need him to learn how to prompt, how to use AI responsibly, how to be careful with his privacy. But I think if you're not lazy and if you're hungry to learn, and if you start learning and teaching yourself how to use these platforms, the sky is the limit for you, irrespective of your educational opportunities, probably.
I love that so much. It almost evens the playing field in a lot of ways. And we have spoken about access here in South Africa. And that's then the thing that becomes the most challenging, right? Because we don't all have hardware. We're not all connected to the internet in the same kind of way. What are we seeing across the country that is exciting, that is innovative, that is kind of, what do they always say? Overcoming the boundaries that there are, right? In terms of, using AI all over South Africa.
Pabi, I do a lot of work with youngsters from different walks of life in our country. Look, I always laugh because my dad would, or his generation would, the simplest things on their mobile phones they can't get right.
Yes.
And then I have this yawn and I roll my eyes and I think, oh my word. I already see it with my son. There's stuff I can't get right on my phone and it takes him 2 seconds. So young people are, and that's why I believe in the future of our country, despite the many problems. Our youngsters are incredibly smart. They are very technologically aware. Yes, there are limitations. I mean, if you live in a shack and you have an old mobile phone that's shared with 6 people, it's difficult. You can't just Google stuff and YouTube stuff. So access to connectivity to the right devices, but also the societal things. Are you safe as a child? Is there gender-based violence? Do you actually eat every day? Do you walk 20 kilometers to school? Those things are all playing a part as well. But I do every day meet youngsters who are so smart, inquisitive, and I mean, I actually feel quite threatened because they will ask me stuff that I think, where did you get this from? I mean, I did a philosophy degree or something, and I thought I knew more, but they are smart. I think if we can just set them free and this is a government and a business, a societal thing, if there's less for them to worry about, violence, food, safety, and the like. And the other thing, Pabi, just what I love about our country is because we are so multicultural, multi-language, we have more emotional intelligence, I think, than many other countries.
I think so too, Yeah,
we had to learn to adapt to people who don't look like us, who think like us.
Yeah.
So the potential is that if we lose that potential, it would be a huge loss for our future and for for the world's future, really.
I want to ask about when you talk about your 11-year-old, and as parents, we're all looking for the best school, the best place, the best way. Who has the best in our budget that we can afford to get them to do AI and maybe robotics at schools. And this may be a little bit of an off-ramp, but I know you won't mind. What is it to look out for in terms of what the school's offering is? And what the school's offering is versus what's on that prospectus, because you don't know if those things are going to be the same.
Yes. Look, so I do homework with my child as often as I can, and I have a big problem with his school. He's in a fairly good school, and I must acknowledge his teachers, like most teachers, are good people. They want to do good. I don't want to just criticize them, and I think it's tough when you have a class of 40 or 50 youngsters, like most teachers these days. So I think they're just trying to do their best, and we must compliment them and help them as much as we can. Whether our teachers have been trained to teach youngsters for the future of tomorrow is a big concern. Because how do the average teacher in our country or in the world teach robotics and coding suddenly? And I wrote an article 2 weeks ago about this in one of our newspapers where I said that coding and robotics is too late. We should teach children to prompt effectively and to do it responsibly. Because coding is no longer that much needed. The AI can do the coding for you.
Of course, yeah.
But how do you prompt? I'm trying to teach my son how to use ChatGPT responsibly. Even if it is kind of quote-unquote cheating a bit on his homework and the repetitive nonsense he needs to learn and forget the day after the exam.
Yeah.
But I think we try and steer away. A lot of the schools and universities I deal with, like I said earlier, is really kind of avoiding this elephant in the room. Let them embrace the prompting, the AI. It should not replace their own learning. It should not make them lazy. There is that risk. But the tools are there. It's almost like 100 or so years ago, Pabi. Electricity is there, but let's not switch on the lights because it'll make us lazy.
But hang on. So what do you mean by prompts exactly? Because I see these posts all the time saying, you're using ChatGPT wrong. Use these prompts. What does that mean?
Yeah, it's articulation, which is a great human skill that no one ever teaches us. It's how do you ask the AI? What kind of words do you use to get out of it? So I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
If you say in ChatGPT, give me a 500-word article on the future of AI in South Africa. It'll probably give you something quite interesting.
Mm-hmm.
If you change one word or add one word, if you say, give me an expert article, it changes everything. But there are a few prompting skills, like your persona. I'm a teacher, I'm an educator, I'm an engineer, I'm a or whatever. I need you to, in order to, and give it to me in this format. Is it a PDF? So it is, how do I ask the AI? And remember what I said earlier when it came to our suppliers or our providers, we can explain the symptoms, not the problem.
Yeah.
Sometimes when we prompt, we give it symptoms. This is what I need. I don't actually know what I need to ask. Probably most of my prompts are 4 or 5 paragraphs long.
Okay.
Because I've learned firstly not to be lazy, but also what to ask and how to ask it. Now, if we can teach that to other people and our children, that is what prompting. And also the AI learns your way of prompting over time. That's what I said. I hope that answers the question.
I mean, that makes it sound like a tool, right?
It is.
So if you don't know how to use a jackhammer is completely useless to you, right?
You're right.
Yeah. So this is a tool.
I speak with, Pabi, that will say, ChatGPT is nonsense, it doesn't help. But okay, they put in 3 words. So it's because you're lazy, or maybe not, maybe you just don't know how to use it. But articulating yourself, knowing what to ask, learning over time what it responds, So, for instance, I would often say, answer this in British English.
Right,
because it's default American English, the Z's are not S's and stuff.
Yes.
And don't give me bullet points. Give it to me in paragraph format. Give me section headings. Give me 5 potential great titles to this paragraph. And so over time, I've taught myself how to prompt better and better, and the stuff I'm getting out of it is incredible. It's a skill that needs to be taught to children, I think.
I think so too. We have come to the end of our conversation, but I just got a tweet from Rafiki, and it says, I'm a little bit skeptical about AI, but I'm slowly adjusting. If you have time, please go watch the movie IT. A person hacks his boss's car and his house to bring pain and agony and even leading to death. Another movie to watch is Eagle Eye. So Hollywood's got us, right? They know AI is a thing, so let's make AI horror movies.
IT is a great movie, and it's worth watching. It's not all scaremongering, remember that. But and Hollywood, I don't always trust Pabi.
Yeah.
But we have to be careful, but I don't think we have to be afraid. Just be smart and use common sense.
Okay. I'm not going to watch those movies because I love the tech so much. I wish at some point we can get plugged in and plugged out and never have to eat, never have to sleep, but that's just me. Johan, how do we find you and the work that you do?
Thank you, Pabi, for the opportunity. My website is AI for Business, so that's AIFOR business.net. My LinkedIn, my email, everything, my articles are there, and I'm always happy for anyone, because I learn from people who ask me questions, who disagree, who want to chat, so please reach out. And thank you for this wonderful opportunity, Paul.
As always, thank you for your time as well. Artificial intelligence expert Johan Steyn talking to us about the rise of the personal AI assistant beyond SIRI and ALEXA. Thank you very much for being a part of our program this afternoon. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Denzel. And thank you, our power person. God willing, we'll be back together again between midday and 3 tomorrow.